Thank you for attending the presentation of the Redmond Sunrise development. I'm Chad Lorenz. I'm a principal at Herbal Architecture. I'm going to be co-presenting today with Ira Nuckerin. Other people involved in this project, the developers, is a joint venture between Pistachia Associates and Rush Development, as well as Bradley Design Group, the landscape architect.
Hi, I'm Ira Nuckerin. Our project is located at the intersection of Northeast 85th Street and 164th Avenue Northeast. As you can see, we have a number of amenities located within a 5-minute walking radius of our site. It should also be noted that the downtown Redmond light rail system will be constructed in 2024, and that will be located just outside of our 5-minute walking radius. This is an aerial drone shot of our site, and here's our site plan. We're proposing a 6-story mixed-use building with 93 residential units and 83 parking stalls. We're also proposing approximately 2,000 square feet of commercial retail space located at the corner. Along the west right-of-way, we have a Type 1 pedestrian system, which requires a 14-foot setback from the back of curb. Then along the north right-of-way, we have a Type 3 pedestrian system requiring a 25-foot wide setback from the back of curb.
The architectural massing of Redmond Sunrise was conceived in a variety of design moves. The first being the base of the building and the retail canting towards 85th and 164th. It kind of steps back about 9'6". Similarly, the main building entry is recessed 3.5 feet. We add 5 stories of massing kind of canted toward the northwest corner. We push in the middle section of the building to create sort of an eye or dumbbell shaped building, which kind of focuses on the corners of the building, 5 feet on the front and 4 feet on the back. We then add decks, about 50 square feet apiece on both the front and back side of the building to give it kind of another level of interest, texture, and modulation. 1,000-foot amenity space. It sits kind of precariously at the top, providing sort of a focal point to the residential portion of the building. And finally, we add roof deck and softscape to kind of soften the overall presence of the building within the site.
When we think about Redmond, I feel that a lot of us think about the outdoors and the woodsiness, and we felt that what better way to experience that than at a sunrise? So we've chosen to use the colors of the sunrise to accent our building. The primary way that we do this is by wrapping our windows with these vertical fins, and they gradate in color along the facade of our building, and this creates some great visual interest as well as a unique experience from different views around the building. We're also proposing a vertical illuminated art installation along our stair tower, and it draws the eye upwards, as well as create an additional layer of visual interest. And we feel that it could change throughout the day and also gradiate in color, as you can see here.
Building materials are kind of split into the base and the top. The base being kind of more of the natural tactile materials of board form concrete and storefront windows with sort of a wood-like finish. The upper levels have a kind of a contrasting both color and texture to provide visual interest, along with, of course, the colors of the sunrise, which feature prominently in the concept of the building. Additionally, we have the bolt-on decks, which have glass rails with some wood-like side partitions. We also introduce glass rail at the parapets up top and also on the second level. And then the windows, vinyl windows with a very kind of thick frame, which again features that sunrise concept. So in execution, this is a look at the northwest corner of the building, which is kind of the prominent intersection. And you can see the base of the building with the board form concrete and the wood-like storefront material. The upper levels with the lap siding, as well as the introduction of the smooth panel in both the corners and the middle of the building, the bolt-on decks, the amenity space, and you can see the roof deck above. Kind of switching to the southwest corner, this just features more of the residential entry, which again is framed by the board form concrete. You see some other elements like downspouts, which provide a little bit of interest to the facade. The art feature, which was talked about earlier on the stair tower. This is the east elevation. This building outline is potential development adjacent to our building, so potentially in the future a lot of this would be covered, but there is no change in terms of the vocabulary with the lap siding, the panel siding, the decks, and the board form concrete. Here's a closer look at the retail entry. Notice the sort of warmth of the soffit material coming down to the storefront, the softscape surrounding it, which really creates sort of a nice gathering place and plaza on the main corner. And then you can see here at the residential entry, a large canopy is introduced to, again, signal to, both public and residents sort of where the main entry of the residential portion is.
For landscaping, at the ground level, we have our landscape buffer, sidewalk, and landscape strip with street trees as required by the Type 1 and Type 3 pedestrian systems. We have a landscape plaza with contrasting paving as well as low ground cover in a geometric pattern, which helps to activate that plaza. Seating and light bollards are provided as well. At level 2, we have raised planters, which provide the residential privacy screening between each of these residential patios. At the roof deck amenity, you can see that we have 3 zoned areas of activity, as well as trees at the corners of the building, which provide interest from the views below, as well as help to soften the roofline edge. We are hoping to receive recommendation from the Design Review Board for 2 administrative design flexibility requests. The first one is for weather protection. Redmond zoning code requires that we provide 4-foot depth weather protection for at least 80% of the storefront facing facade of a building. Along our retail facade, we are providing a building overhang with the depth and height which complies for 29% of the retail. Along the residential facade, we provide a canopy which has a depth and height complying for 62% of the residential facade. Weather protection is not provided at the facades where service areas abut the property line. The 2 pedestrian systems and the required setbacks push the sidewalks beyond the 4-foot overhang or canopy. Landscaping provides a buffer along the building edge to soften the base on here and will not be viable with weather protection. We're providing extensive weather protection at the 2 key locations where weather protection is relevant and meets the intent of the Redmond Code. Our second administrative design flexibility request is modulation. The Redmond zoning code requires that we provide modulation approximately every 40 feet with a minimum depth of 4 feet, a minimum width of 5, and a modulation max width of 30. This would result in a building similar to what you see on the right. Given the size of the proposed project site and the required pedestrian system setbacks, it is proposed that it is not necessary to modulate the residential levels every 40 feet per code. The building's overall length of approximately 140 feet facing 164th Ave is broken up by primary modulation, defined by the center of the building mass pushing inwards approximately 5 foot 8 inches from the bookend massing. Balconies provide modulation along the length of this inset. Along the bookended masses of the north and south, the window groupings provide a perception of additional modulation. When the window fin details accentuate this, then the window fin details accentuate this while providing visual interest along the facade lengths. Horizontal modulation at the street level meets the human scale by insetting the residential lobby entrance and angling the retail entry towards the street intersection. The penthouse amenity space breaks the roofline and creates a focal point to the top of the building, also providing modulation. While we may not meet the code-specific modulation standards, the building's restrained modulation achieves the desire for meeting the human scale and breaking down the overall perceived mass and bulk of the structure. Material color and texture variation, with the grouping of openings, breaks up the facade effectively while also providing visual interest from the street level. And this concludes our DRB presentation. Thank you so much for your time.